Greetings, Franchise Nation. This is Franchise Play. You know me too. I'm also, Brian Masekas. Well, let's jump into the Ask FP questions. I appreciate everybody coming out. Brandon Noel says, do you watch WWE? And if you do you think that the Funkadactyls will get back together? At some point, they probably will. Cameron's kind of real dry. Naomi is great in the ring and pretty nice looking as well. She's pretty nice looking. Good to look at for sure. Jimmy, you did well, sir. Jimmy Uso, you did well. And but the WWE and their whole racial thing, try to keep all the ethnic groups together, with the little weird segregation thing. So they will probably get back together at some point, if Cameron don't get released. Walter Davis says, do you think that Madden should have a My Career story mode like 2K? To me, the connected career mode gets a bit boring. I like connected career mode, I do. But I do think like a separate, kind of an addition to the connected career mode would be cool. Something like a My Career type of thing. They had it before with the Be a Superstar thing, but they need to inject more of a whole storyline. NFL's really weird about things, so it would be really, EA might feel as though they're handcuffed with where they can go with the storyline though. So we'll see how that works. Simon Torvey Sunland says, could Allen Iverson have been the greatest of all time if he would have worked harder and been a better teammate getting along with coaches? I think, it's kind of well documented. AI had some alcohol problems and maybe some gambling issues. I think those probably were a bigger detriment to him than teammate-coach relations. Also, the fact that he's only 6 feet tall kind of hurts him being the greatest of all time. If he was 6'4", I think he probably would have been the best shooting guard of all time, to be honest. So that's just that. Christian P, I think this is a new Ask FP. I appreciate you coming through. If not, if you're not new, I'm sorry. I still appreciate you anyway. He says, do you think that Madden will ever have trade finders like NBA 2K? I don't know. Probably not, because as you know, trades in the NFL are not nearly as frequent as they are in the NBA. There's really specific times of the year, mostly where you see the trades. So I don't know if that'll ever happen, because I don't know if trades will ever be that big a part of the football experience. You know what I'm saying? So not that they don't happen, but enough to have a trade finder is what I mean. The Great Patriot says, which would be worse for you, another 50-year World Series win drought for the Cubs or the Cards winning 5 times in a row? I don't like the Cardinals, but I'm not one of those people that's like, if my team don't win, I hope the rival don't win. If the Cubs don't win, then the Cubs didn't win, and I don't care who wins at that point unless I find another rooting interest. So the Cubs not winning is always going to be worse for me. Jalen Murray says, what are your thoughts on Michael CarterWilliams getting traded to the Bucks just for draft picks? Well, I mean, it wasn't, depends on how you look at it. The 76ers are trying to make sure that they maintain flexibility, that they build a young nucleus. I personally like Michael CarterWilliams. I think he was one of the more disrespected young players in the league. He won Rookie of the Year. Granted, it was in a weak rookie class. And granted, he needs to work on his jump shot and turnovers and that sort of thing. But I like him as a young player. I just think he doesn't get a lot of respect. So, I'm kind of on the fence on that deal. Malcolm Walker says, although not the reason Boston traded Rondo, but it was meant to give Smart more playing time. So it confuses me where Thomas fits. Well, Thomas right now, Boston is also trying to get financial flexibility. But Isaiah Thomas is a really good scorer off the bench. I don't think he's a starting point guard, but I do think he's a point guard in the vein of the Nate Robinsons, the Aaron Brookses, DJ Augustine's, comes off the bench, gives you that scoring punch looking for his offense. So for that, I think he's a good backup for Marcus Smart. Jalen Cook says, was it a good move for the Suns to trade Goran Dragic and Isaiah Thomas? A lot of Isaiah Thomas questions today. I do think it was a good idea. Phoenix had 48 million point guards. They had to get rid of, they got to pick the guy that's going to run the show. Also, they got rid of Tyler Ennis. So they pretty much cleared the way and said, Eric Bledsoe, this is you. This is your squad. I think that was a smart thing. They're building around him. They're being decisive. And now you can bring in some other assets for all of those point guard assets that you had. Anthony Velorio says, what is the best case scenario for the New York Knicks after failing to gain anything at the deadline this offseason and next season? They have to still stay with their plan. They were never really planning on being great this year. I think they obviously want to be better than they are, but they never were planning to be a really contender this year. It wasn't about that. They sold Melo on down the line. So if they flop this offseason, can't get Marc Gasol, can't get anybody like that, maybe even Dragic, because we don't even know if Dragic is going to go back. Dragic is going to go back to Miami. He probably definitely will now with some of the things that happened there recently, but they got to stay with their plan. Bulls fan says, who are the winners and losers of the NBA trade deadline? I think the biggest winner originally was Miami, but I think that's, some of that's a little bit disrupted now. Oklahoma City, to me, is definitely the biggest winner. The biggest loser, I don't know. I don't understand what Milwaukee's doing. I don't get it. Like I said, I like Michael Carter-Williams, but I really like Brandon Knight too, even though I know they're not going to sign him back. Apparently, they weren't going to do that, so that must be why they did that. So I would probably pick out Milwaukee. Everson Carter says, will you start a Diamond Dynasty in MLB 15 the show? By the way, nice videos. Thank you, Everson. I'm really thinking about it, man. I am, because it's got me intrigued. Of course, it's going to depend on the service, because I don't like doing series where YouTube series. And obviously, you didn't ask me about doing a YouTube series, but I assume that's what you meant. I don't like doing YouTube series where the server is real shaky. I don't like that. So I'm going to have to probably test it out first and make sure everything's cool. And then maybe, I don't know. Simon Torbe Sunderland also says, let's see, why is the Western Conference so much more competitive than the Eastern Conference in the NBA? I really think that's kind of a myth to a degree. Now, obviously, we're not blind. We can look at all of the teams in the West that's over 500 and look at all the teams in the East that's under or at 500. But when it really comes down to it, look at the championships. Who's winning the championships? Yeah, the Spurs won last year, but the Heat won the 2 years before that. So it's not like it's totally lopsided. And I think the West has a lot more teams that look like contenders, but maybe really aren't. And the East just has 3 or 4 really good teams, and the rest of the teams are like whatever. So I don't know. That kid from Philly says, is Chris Bosh a Hall of Famer? Yes, I believe he is. And God bless him, and hopefully that he has a speedy recovery and everything's cool. He can resume his career and even more so, have a cool life. But I do believe he's a Hall of Famer. 2 championships. The stats he put up with Toronto were amazing. He's still, a young man. Young enough to still play probably 3-4 more years at a high level. So hopefully he gets back. Bull fan 86 says, do you feel the Cavs will use Kevin Love differently in the playoffs? I don't think they're going to use him differently. I think they're going to use him the way they use him now, which is as a guy to spread the floor on offense, to rebound, and that's pretty much what his major role is. And he has to play his part in team defense. But that's his major role with Cleveland right now. I don't think that's going to change. Jovan, I got it right. Jovan Radovanovic says, who do you think are the best players in the NBA younger than 20, apart from Wiggins, Park, and Embiid? Well, you took a lot of them, but I would probably say Zach LaVine is right. I really like Zach LaVine's game. I really do. I liked it before the dunk contest. And also, a guy who has not played really at all, is Charlotte's Noah Vonleh. I'd like to see what's going to happen with him. I believe he might have turned 20 already, but I know he's really young. So that's an interesting one. Julius Randle was another one of these guys we didn't get a chance to see play, really, And I'm not sure if he turned 20 yet either. So, but yes, Dankley Medford says, for your NBA 2K15 draft class, will you be making Briante Weber from VCU and Isaiah Whitehead from Seton Hall? I don't know yet. I haven't gotten the deep down into the second or late first round yet. So I got to see what the consensus is for the top 60 prospects. Some guys, I already made their face. I don't even sure if they're still coming out. Like Kelly Oubre from Kansas, he may not because he's up and down a little bit. So I got to go back and re-examine some stuff. Jovan says, who do you think will win Mayweather Pacquiao? I'm still gonna say Mayweather. I am. It's gonna be interesting. I don't see the fight being extremely competitive. I just did an interview with Adrian Broner yesterday. I put it up on my I got an actual personal YouTube channel that I don't really talk about with you guys very much, but it's where I start to store my non-video game interviews with athletes. But yeah, he was saying he thought it was going to be a competitive fight. I don't know if that was just, basically support and everything, but he's picked Mayweather. I picked Mayweather, but if Mayweather wins, I don't see it being competitive. I think it's going to be pretty clear. If Pacquiao wins, I think it'll be pretty clear. But I'm going with Mayweather. Jalen Cook says, what features do you expect to be added in WWE 2K16? Face scanning, a deeper universe. I think you're going to get more creation options, like they're going to bring back probably creating the arena, storylines, and just open up some of the stuff that basically was taken away, more or less. So people may not like that, but that's, I think, what it's going to be. Matt Price says, Memphis was always a force, but with Jeff Green, are they now a title contender? Yeah, I definitely believe Memphis is one of three. I think Memphis is one of three teams in the West that could actually win the championship. I think Memphis, Golden State, and Oklahoma City are the only three teams I could see winning the championship out of the West. And I'm not even sold on Golden State, to be quite honest. But those are the three. That kid from Philly says, your favorite NBA and NFL player of all time. Well, I'm really going to go Chicago, left and right here. Favorite NBA player is Michael Jordan, even though, he kind of gets on my nerves, kind of got a little nasty, little bit of an attitude, especially in his older age. But he's still my favorite NBA player. And my favorite NFL player is Walter Payton. There's some Chicago stuff there, too. So, you didn't ask me who I necessarily thought was the best, which the answer would still be the same for the NBA. But those are my favorites. Austin Boland says, do you think Tracy McGrady is a Hall of Famer? I do. It's not quite as clear-cut a case, even though statistically his career or his stats may be better than Chris Bosh. But McGrady didn't win. And though he did, and yes, it's a team game, but in basketball, when you're a superstar, you're going to get graded. You're going to get points taken off when you don't win. McGrady did not just win. I mean, he didn't, it was a while before he even got out of the first round of a playoff series. And when he finally did, he was not the man. He was like a bench player. So, yeah, That kid from Philly says, your reaction to Kevin Durant slapping on the media. Even though I'm a part of the media, I don't take stuff like that personal, and people get mad and, you're biting the hand that feeds you, which I think is a ridiculous statement. I wasn't with Kevin Durant where he was practicing his game. I wasn't his mother taking him back and forth to practice and all that kind of stuff. So that's ridiculous. But I do think he probably went off a little bit too much, and he apologized. I like Kevin Durant a lot. I think he's a cool dude. I think he's a genuine guy. But he's also a very young dude, you know what I mean? And we make mistakes when we're young, and you grow up and you look back and go, man, that was real stupid. And that's it, you know what I mean? So he hasn't done anything he can't get by, you know what I'm saying? So that kid from Philly says, your sixth man of the year right now. My sixth man of the year right now would be still Maurice Spates. There's some people who may be gaining on him, but I would still say Spates. Trevor Allen says, I apologize in advance. Big fan, appreciate it. Lots of questions for you. Do you think Undertaker should give Wyatt the win at WrestleMania? I absolutely do. I think it's a good match. And I understand why Brock broke Taker's streak. But I think, to be honest, if you had to pick who probably needed to be the one in 21-1, probably would have been Bray Wyatt. You would have set Bray Wyatt up to be the number one heel for the next 10, 12, 14 years by having him break the streak. So maybe it's a little late, is what I'm saying. But I still think it's cool, and I think Wyatt should win. Trevor Allen also says, can you give me your WrestleMania card that would make this year's WrestleMania watchable and the predictions? Well, here we go. Cena Rusev, Cena wins. Reigns Lesnar, Lesnar wins. Paige Nikki, Paige wins. Wyatt Taker, like I said, Wyatt wins. Orton Rollins, Rollins wins. And I got something crazy for you. A tag team tournament featuring the primetime players, the Ascension, New Day, and Usos. And the winner gets Cesaro and Kidd later on in the show. How about that? Then the Dust Brothers, I say Goldust wins in his last match. Miz Sandow and Sandow wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And then I don't even know about what to do with Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, the Show, Ryback, and Rowan, and whoever comes from NXT. I don't know. There you go. Trevor also says thoughts on Kendrick Perkins signing with the Cavs over the Bulls, Clippers, Pelicans, and Spurs. Best fit in Cleveland. Yeah, I understand why he did it. He's going to get a chance to play in Cleveland more than he will with those other teams. And he believes they have a best chance to win the championship, and I can't fault him for that. Trevor Allen says also, if Cena wins the U.S. title, barring there's a rematch at WrestleMania with Rusev, you think the title's prestige goes up? I do. People can say what they want to say about Cena, but wherever he goes, whatever he does, means that it's important. Even the people who hate him know that whatever match he's in is important. If you give him another run with the U.S. title, you make it important. That's why I also think that Ambrose, which I forgot that match, Ambrose, Barrett should have to be on there too. I don't know what they're going to do for WrestleMania. It's set up for having like 12 matches, to be honest. But I think Ambrose needs to win the Intercontinental Championship to bring some prestige to that. Long says, who do you have going to the NBA Finals after all the trades that went down? Long, this is what I got. It's going to be crazy to some people, but I got Cleveland and OKC. If you ask me right now, I mean, this could change in a month and a half right before the playoffs. But right now, if you ask me, I'd say Cleveland, OKC. OKC looks to me, if with a healthy Durant, it's pretty, man, there's some things happening over there, okay? There's some things happening. Brandon Noel says, are you going to make an EA Sports UFC 2 wish list video? I am, because I think this in the next 2 to 4 months is the right time to do something like that, because I don't think the next EA Sports UFC is coming out until maybe 2016. And if Fight Night doesn't replace it, not replace it permanently, but I think they might alternate releases every 18 months. So I think that could happen. So we'll see, but I definitely will make a wish list. Brandon Noel says, will you be watching UFC 187 on May 23rd? I didn't even know what the day was. I know it's coming around that time. But yes, I will. I pretty much watch every UFC. Even most of the fight nights, I watch UFC fight nights. I watch those too, most of them. So yeah, I will be watching that for sure. I don't even have it in front of me right now who's the main event in that, but the pretty much general answer to that question is yes. The last question is also from Brandon Noel. He says, do you think video games are getting close to film and TV quality? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at games like the Call of Duty, the last Call of Duty, look at games like The Order. You look at games like NBA 2K with the My Career mode. I mean, there's a lot done, to make these games look extremely cinematic. And I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I definitely think that we're almost at that point. So I appreciate everybody who asked the question this time. I appreciate anybody who's thinking about answering the question for next week. Thanks for watching, y'all. God bless and peace.